This conference will now be recorded.
So now in today's session, we are going to discuss about Ajax controls. What exactly the Ajax control? What is the use? What Ajax controls has been given by Visual Force by default? How to use these Ajax controls in order to perform the asynchronous operations inside your Visual Force program. Okay. Now, suppose, for example, assume that I have a Visual Force page, or maybe standard page also, anything. So now click on new button. The form has been opened to create a new record. I have entered some data inside my fields. Okay, I'm entering some data. Inside these fields, I'm entering some values. Okay, some data has been entered inside these fields. Now, I've given that active status, customer priority also. So now tell me when the record will get saved. When you click on save. Okay. As soon as once I click on that save button, the request will send to that Salesforce server. It will collect the details of this record. With these details, it will create a new account record inside my app. That means what? Until or unless if I'm not clicking on this save button, record will not get saved. That means what manually we have to invoke. Okay, manually we have to invoke that button in order to save that record. That means it requires a human interaction. Synchronous. Synchronous means what? Manually, we have to perform this operation. Until or unless if you are not click on the save button, record will not get saved. As soon as once I click on the save button, record will be sending to that Salesforce server. It will create a new record inside my object. From there, I can go to the detail page of the record. I can see the record information. Okay, that means what in this case we have to do that human interaction manually. Okay, we have to click on the button, or manually we have to click on the link, and manually we have to change those field values. Okay, manual interaction is required in order to perform those operations. To invoke those actions, we have to click on the button control. If I'm not using that button control, then it will not be saving the record inside my object. Automatically, it won't save. Now, but there may be some situations like I want this process automated. That means not only the saving information, upon fetching some data, I want to make it automated process. Like for example, come to a general scenario. Assume that everybody is utilizing the various web applications or mobile application to watch the cricket score. Okay, so many cricket fans are there in the class. So whenever we are getting that, if there is any cricket match is there, the people are going to watching the score. So now, for example, I'm using an application to watch the cricket score. So there is a table is available which will be indicating the cricket score, okay, the number of wickets, and then like a number of overs, balls, okay, and the score, everything representing on a table. Now tell me here, do I need to refresh that screen every time to get the latest score? No. How? It is automatically refreshing for each and every few fraction of seconds. For each and every ball, okay, for every one ball, or for every few fraction of seconds, automatically the screen will be getting refreshing. It will collect the latest information from the database. It will represent it. That means what? Do we need any human interaction to refresh that to get the latest cricket score? No. It doesn't require any human interaction. Directly, it will be refreshing the screen based on some specific time period. Based on some frequency of intervals, okay, like some 5 seconds, or 2 seconds, or 3 seconds, or 10 seconds, it will be keep on refreshing the score. So at that time, what happens? It is going to be performing asynchronously. Asynchronously means what? Automatically, it is going to be refreshing the screen. It is refreshing that operation. That means it's getting the latest data. It is executing the query internally behind that. Behind the screen, it will be executing a query. It will collect the latest cricket score and represent it on the user interface. But right now, what we are doing here, we are going to refreshing the page to get the latest information. So now in this case, what happened? Instead of performing these operations manually, we can make that process automated with the help of asynchronous operations. Asynchronous means what? Automatically it has to be get performed. Okay, automatically it has to be get performed. So at that time, we can do this kind of Ajax controls. So whenever if you want to send a request asynchronously, that means automatically. Like for example, come to one more scenario. Assume that I'm having the because we'll be having the share market. So for every share market, for every organization, they will be having some shares. For every share, they will be having some value. The value will be keep on changing because the value will be keep on changing. It's not a fixed value, value will be keep on changing. It may be up, it may be down, whatever. Okay, the value will be the share value will be keep on changing. So now tell me here in this case, somebody is refreshing that to change that value. No, keep on it will be refreshing that information. Okay, how frequently? For every fraction of millisecond, okay, not in terms of second, for every millisecond, the share value will be keep on changing. So at that time, here they're not only updating, they're not only refreshing the user interface for every few fraction of seconds, they are going to be refreshing the user interface in terms of milliseconds also. So for that one, to refresh that share market values very fastly, they're using some different protocols. They're using a protocol called as fixed protocol, FIX, okay, Financial Information Exchange. By using the fixed protocol, they're going to be keep on changing the value very fastly. Okay, within some fraction of milliseconds, they're changing the share value with the help of that fixed protocol. So in this case, when coming to applications also, we'll be able to refresh the user interface, okay, based on some specific periodical intervals. When you go to your Salesforce instance, you're using the developer console. I'm writing some piece of code inside the developer console. Now tell me, do I need to save that record manually? Do I need to compile that record manually? What are the code that I have written inside my developer console? Do I need to compile that code manually? Or do we have any auto compilation? Not auto compilation is there. How frequently? For every 10 fraction of seconds, what are the code that were written inside the developer console? Code will be sending to the force platform. It will compile the code. If there is any spelling mistakes are available, if there is any syntactical mistakes are available, it will be representing the syntactical mistakes. Okay. Logic mistakes it won't identify. Logic mistakes will be getting identified at runtime. Upon writing the code, okay, it will be sending the code to the first platform for the compilation. Syntactical mistakes it will verify. If there is any syntactical mistakes are there, those syntactical mistakes you can able to see on the screen immediately. Without saving the code manually, for every 10 fraction of seconds, your code will be sending to the first platform for the auto compilation. That means what? There are some situations, there are some features which require this kind of asynchronous operation. Asynchronous means what? Automatically I want to send that request to the server. I don't want to initiate the request manually. I want to send that request automatically to that server based on some periodical intervals. Based on some frequency of intervals also. Based on some events also, I want to make it change. Now, for example, come to one more situation here. Assume that I'm having an object. Now, for example, come to a situation. Now, in this case, I'm having this customer object. In this customer object, I'm having two fields. Select the country, select the state. So now in this case, inside my select the country field, all the country names have been populated. In the state field, I'm having some set of state names. Now this field is called as what? Field dependency. Okay, field dependency. You know this concept. Now, in this case, I'm selecting that country as India. What will happen? The collection of states associated with that country will be getting populated. Now tell me, do we have any time period here? No. Based on what? Based on the changing the selection of that pick. Okay. Now in this case, what happened? Whenever I'm changing the selection of the pick list value, this is called as here now. So now here we are going to changing the pick list values. Okay. Now we are selecting the state as country as from Australia. Automatically, the associated states will be getting populated. Whenever I'm selecting like as some state USA, the associated values will be getting populated. Okay. Now in this case, what happened? Whenever I'm going to changing the selection of the pick list value, one event will be getting occurred. What is the event? On change. Okay, on change. That means whenever I'm changing, okay, whenever I'm changing that value, please perform some operation. What operation? If I'm changing this value from USA to Australia, please perform some operation. What is that operation? Get the respective state names popular inside the pick list. Okay, here there is no concept of time, here there is a concept of event. Okay, there is a concept of event. What is the event? Whenever I'm going to changing the pick list value selection. Okay, whenever I'm changing the pick list value selection, automatically it will be performing some action which will be collecting the respective state names it is populating inside. That means what? We no need to select that state. We need to invoke that action manually. Whenever you're changing that value, automatically the respective actions will be getting performed. In this case, if you want to invoke these kind of actions, if you want to perform these kind of actions automatically, then we have to use our Ajax components. So that means what? Without having any human interaction, without invoking the request manually, we can able to send the request automatically. We can send the request automatically to the database server to perform some operations in the behind that database. So behind the screen, we can perform some operations. Okay, behind the screen, we can perform some operations based on some event or based on some time. At that time, we have to use the Ajax components. So previously, we have to use the Ajax library. Okay, Ajax library. There are some set of ready-made classes are there which are used to perform the operations at the client side. In order to invoke the request automatically, we are using this Ajax component. So as part of Ajax components, we have to use Ajax library. There is some set of classes, there is some set of ready-made methods are there as part of Ajax library, which we need to learn and which we have to use. We have to write some code to perform that request asynchronously. But in this case, writing that piece of code will take more time. We have to learn that Ajax components separately. We have to learn those Ajax libraries separately. We have to use that libraries. We have to write some code. We have to invoke that code. It will be a lengthy process. So that to avoid those problems, Salesforce has included the Ajax component functionality inside the Visual Force page tags itself. Instead of using the Ajax library separately, Salesforce has included the Ajax component functionality inside the Visual Force tags itself. Further from here, we are using the Ajax controls. Those are also called as action controls, which are going to be invoking the actions asynchronously, automatically, without any human interaction. Based on some event, based on some event, or based on some specific time period, we can able to invoke those actions also. The facilities are available. So instead of invoking the request manually by our own, we can able to make the request actually get sent to the server automatically based on some event or based on some specific time period with the help of the action controls. Okay. So previously we don't have this action components inside the Salesforce instance. At that time we have to use that Ajax library separately. Ajax is a separate programming. Ajax is a separate programming. There is a separate libraries available, separate classes, separate methods are available, which we need to learn first. We have to use that library classes. We have to write some code. We have to achieve that functionality. But now we no need to learn all those things. Salesforce is embedding that functionality inside your Visual Force page itself in the form of giving some action controls as a tax free by default. So that inside those action controls, we can able to get the Ajax functionality inbuilt. Okay, Ajax functionality is inbuilt available inside your action controls. Okay, now, so now what are those action controls that we have? As part of Visual Force, we are having 5 action controls like action follow, action function, action status, action support, and the action reason. Okay, action reason. Okay, now. So now here in this case, by using these 5 controls, these 5 controls are inbuilt with Ajax functionalities. which is having the functionality to perform the request automatically, which will be initiating the request automatically by default. Okay, so at that time, we can use this Ajax controls or action controls in order to send the request asynchronously without any human interaction. Without any human interaction, based on some events or based on some specific time period, we can invoke those actions also using this Ajax components. Okay, clear? Now, then what is the full form of this Ajax generally? Asynchronous JavaScript and XML. Okay, asynchronous JavaScript and XML. JavaScript especially we are using for what? Client side. Okay, client side. That means without invoking the button control. Okay, client side, through client side we can able to initiate that request. Okay, so in this case, asynchronously means what? Automatically. Don't click on any button control. Whenever an event is occurred, whenever some specific time period is over, we can perform those actions. So for that reason, they have introduced the Ajax library, asynchronous JavaScript and XML. Okay, now generally, whenever we are going to be using the request to a particular server, it will be using the HTTP request. Okay, so but whenever if you are using the action control, that means here XML programming, okay, asynchronous programming or Ajax controls will be using the XML HTTP. XML HTTP request it will send to that server. Okay, now. So now here in this case, as part of this action components, we can able to perform the operations asynchronously. That means automatically we can invoke those requests without click on any button control. Okay, based on some time, based on some specific events, we can able to file those actions also. Okay, now. So let's see how can we implement these functionalities. Okay. We are having so many features to be discussed. Okay, two of the components we'll see today. Okay, like we are having the action collab, and then we'll see the action support we'll see today, because it will be taking almost 2 to 2.5 hours time. Okay, components are a bit simple, but we are having some other technical factors which needs to be discussed as part of this. Okay. So let's make a note of this. Action controls. Upon performing the operations, inside the application, we have to invoke the request. We have to invoke the request manually by click on button control or by refreshing the page. By refreshing the page to get the latest information from the database. That is, it requires the human interaction to invoke the controller action methods. It requires the human interaction to invoke the controller action methods. So whatever the controller methods we have prepared, that means whatever the methods we have prepared inside our class, if you want to invoke those action methods, we need the human interaction. Click on a button control. Upon click on the button control, there is an action property which will be invoking that action method so we can perform some operations. Upon loading the page, we can invoke that action by refreshing the page. Just to refresh the page will be loading freshly. Upon loading the page, it will be invoking that action by using action property. That is, will be performing the operation by using the constructors also. That means what it requires that human interaction. Manually, we have to do it. But in some cases, I don't want to invoke that request manually. I want to make the request also sent to the server automatically by default based on some specific time period or based on some specific events. Okay, now in few cases, we need to invoke the request asynchronously. Asynchronously. That means automatically, without any human interaction. Without any human interaction. That is, we can invoke the controller action methods. Okay? We can invoke the controller action methods automatically based on the specified time period or based on the specified time intervals or based on the specified event. Based on the specified event occurs. For example, on change, on blur, mouse move, mouse up, mouse down, key down, like that, based on some events. Whenever you are changing the selection or whenever on blur means what? On blur in the sense, on, on blur in the sense. Brother skin, no? On blur in the sense. Whenever mouse. No, that will be mouse up. When you place the mouse pointer on a particular control, it is called as a mouse up or mouse over. You can use mouse even. For example, come to a scenario. Assume that I'm having my account object. I'm creating the account record. Now tell me cursor is available in which text box? What is the text box? Account name. That's what it is indicating with a blue color border. Okay. The blue color border has been highlighted. Okay. When you observe the remaining text boxes, we don't have any blue color border right now. It is highlighted with the blue color border. That means cursor is currently available inside this text box. That means this control got the focus. Okay. This control got the focus. Nothing but cursor is currently available inside this field. Now, for example, when you press the tab button, what will happen there? When you press the tab button, cursor has been moved to where? Second field. That means parent account. Nothing but here. Which control got the focus now? Parent account. Which control lose the focus now? Accounting. Now, in this case, whenever once you press the tab button, cursor is moving from one control to another control. Whenever the cursor is moving from one control to another control, the previous one, which will lose the focus is called as, that losing of the focus is called as on blur event. On blur means what? That control is losing the focus. It will be moving forward to some different control. Okay. That now the event is called as on blur. On blur means what? The control is losing the focus. Okay, losing the focus. Now tell me here, can you give me one example like as at which situations we can go with this kind of events? On blur. Login page with. Okay. For example, in this case, observe this one. Assume that I'm having a field called as some phone. Okay, phone field. Okay, there is a phone field is available. So now in this phone field, we need to enter some digits. Okay, we need to enter some digits. Okay, now, so now in this case, I'm entering some digit values. How many digits I have entered? Only 10, more than 10, more than 10. Okay, now, so in this case, here, what my requirement is, now in this case here, now for example, I'm entering some 10 digits. Okay, I'm entering some 10 digits here. As soon as whenever I'm entering this 10 digits, now I would like to move the cursor to the next one. I want to move the cursor to the next one. Immediately, I would like to forward. Okay, immediately I would like to forward the cursor to the next one. Or else, for example, here, assume that here I'm entering the 9 digits I have entered. Whenever I'm pressing the tab button, for example, I have entered 9 digits. 9. 9 digits. As soon as when you press the tab button, okay, I'm trying to enter in 10 digits, but unfortunately one digit is missing. Now, whenever I'm pressing the tab button to move the cursor to the fax field, immediately I want to show the message you have entered only 9 digits, which is an invalid number. That means what I want to validate. Whenever the control is losing the focus, then only I would like to validate. Generally, when it will be validating that when you click on save button, then it will validate that. I don't want to do at that time. I want to validate at the time of entering the data itself. Okay, I want to validate at the time of entering the data itself. Okay, so in this case, I'm having the phone field. I'm entering one character also here. When you press that tab, it is accepting that. When it will validate this information upon click on save. But I don't want to do that validation at that time. I want to validate at the time of pressing the key itself. Whenever we are going to pressing the key itself, from pressing that any character key, we have to show the message here. It should not be acceptable. Please enter a digit here inside. That means I want to validate that. Whenever I'm pressing the key, nothing but whenever my keyboard key has been down, that means whenever the key down event is occurred, I want to file some action. So at that time depends upon your requirement. Based on some events also, we can find some validations automatically. Don't invoke those actions manually upon click on save button. Don't wait till the user click on that save button. I want to validate the data immediately itself based on some events. Not based on time, not based on click on that button control. Immediately I would like to validate. So at that time, we have to use this kind of Ajax functionalities. Okay, so now in this case, like as and change. Whenever you are changing the selection of that value, and blur. Whenever the control is losing the focus. Now mouse move. Whenever that mouse is moving, okay, mouse up. Whenever the mouse is up, nothing but releasing that button, mouse button. Mouse down. Whenever you are pressing the mouse button, key down. Whenever you are pressing that keyboard key, then we can able to collect that ASCII code of the key. Like that here, various events are available. Okay, various events are available. So in this case, depends upon some event, depends upon some time frame. I would like to invoke some actions automatically. So at that time, we can go with this kind of asynchronous operations. But when coming to the result force, generally we are validating the data whenever we are performing some operations. Until we click on that search button or save button, delete button, cancel button, we are not invoking that. Okay. Now in some cases there is a situation that we need to invoke those actions automatically based on some events and based on some specific time period. So for that reason, we have to use that Ajax functionality. Okay. Now, so now here in this case, to achieve the above features, to invoke the actions automatically, based on the specific events, time frame, we have to use Ajax programming. Ajax programming. Ajax stands for asynchronous JavaScript and XML. Ajax provides a set of library classes to be used to write the code, to invoke the actions asynchronously. To invoke the actions asynchronously. Asynchronously. To avoid the additional coding, inside the Visual Force page, inside the Visual Force page, inside the Visual Force page, we have the ready-made Ajax controls. These are also called as action controls. Action controls, which includes the Ajax functionalities inbuilt. Which includes the Ajax functionalities inbuilt. Inbuilt Ajax functionalities are available inside my action controls or Ajax controls. By using these action controls, we can invoke the controller action methods, from the client side. From the client side, asynchronously. That means without any human interaction. Visual Force provides the below 5 action controls. Visual Force provides the below 5 action controls. First one is action polar. Second one, action function, which is available in terms of a tag. The tag names are action polar. Each and every feature is available in terms of a separated tag. Action function. Action status. Action views. So these are the 5 tags are available inbuilt, okay, inside your Visual Force programming, which are used to invoke the actions or controller methods asynchronously without any human interaction. What are the controller class that you're building? Okay, to invoke those controller class methods, we no need to click on any button control. We no need to refresh the user interface. Just based on some time frame, based on some specific events, we can invoke these actions also. So that we can able to improve the application performance very fastly. As part of interview point of view, it's a common question. Difference between action support and action function. These two are very, very important. Action support and action function. How to use this action support, how to use these action functions. Okay, we'll see one by one. Done? Done with these points? The first one. Action polar tab. Now, now let's see. First of all, what exactly the action polar? Okay. So polling in the sense what? Polling in the sense collecting. Okay, collecting. What some data? How? By executing some methods. Okay, by executing some. Now action polar. Okay, polling in the sense keep on invoking, keep on collecting. They keep on getting the data from the database or keep on invoking some business logics also. Keep on receiving, we keep on collecting the data from the web services also. Anything, whatever. So now keep on, I'm going to be raising the request to get some response back. Okay, to get some response back. So based on some specific time period. So at that time, whenever if you want to refresh a specific screen, if you want to poll the data, polling the data means we're collecting the data. How can we collect the data? By using SQL query. Where we can write the SQL query inside the method. That means we need to invoke that method. So keep on polling, keep on invoking that method frequently. So how frequently? Based on some specific time period. Based on some specific time period, if you want to invoke that methods automatically for each and every fraction of seconds, then we can go with that action polar. Okay, action polar tag. Action polar tag is used to keep on polling the request, keep on invoking the request based on some specific time period. For every 5 seconds or 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, for every 1 minute, we can keep on polling the data also so that we can able to perform some operations. Okay. Now in this case, simply we can say, simply I can say, if anybody is aware of any Java or .NET or any other programming language, action polar is simply nothing but your timer control. Okay. So there in Java or .NET, when you go to Java Swings, or when you go to the C# or ASP.NET, you will be having the component called as timer control. So now in the timer control, what it will be having there, it will be keep on executing some actions. How frequently? Based on the time which you have set. Based on the time interval which you have set, it will be 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. It is keep on firing that. So for that one, when you go to the timer control, okay, when you go to the timer component, we have an event called as tick event. Okay, tick is an event inside the timer control. That means whenever the time is up, automatically event will fire. Okay, whenever the time is up, automatically event will fire. So that here, as part of timer control, we have an event called as tick event. Okay, so now like the similar way here, when coming to a Salesforce instance also, we have a timer control called as action polar. So action polar is nothing but what? It is nothing but a Ajax component which has been given by Salesforce by default, which will be keep on polling the request, which will be keep on invoking the request, okay, by making a call to the controller action methods. It will be keep on sending the data for each and every specified time period. For every frequency of interval, it will be sending the request to the Salesforce server to perform some operations in the background. Okay. Now in this case, whenever you are observing that like as your cricket scores, whenever you are observing like as your the developer console, okay, it is purely implemented with the help of action polar. That means for each and every few fraction of seconds, it is performing some operations in the backend level. It is displaying the results. Okay, it will make a request, it will get the response back. Like the similar way, based on some each and every fraction of intervals, if you want to file some actions, then we can go with that action polar event. With the help of this action polar event, we can keep on polling the request, we can keep on invoking the request to server so that we can perform some operations with the help of by invoking the action methods. So for that one, we are using action polar tag. Okay, clear? Action polar tag is used to invoke the method for each and every specific time interval. Okay, it may be for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, whatever the operations you want to perform, we can specify those actions with the help of action polar tag. Action polar tag is going to be executing the specified event based on the specified time interval. Okay, for every specific time interval, it will be executing those actions internally. For example, assume that I'm having a class. In my class, I'm having some method which is having some business logic inside that. That may be insert, DML statement, SOT. I'm not bothered about that. There is some business logic is there. I want to execute the business logic for every 1 minute. Then at that time, how can we do that? We need to look into the time. We have to click on the button control. Once 1 more minute is over, we have to click on it. That means manual process. I don't want to click on the button control for every 1 minute manually. I want to make it automated with the help of action polar. So that we can able to invoke that action, we can perform that operation, we can call that method for every specific time period with the help of action polar event. Okay? Clear? Now make a note of this one. Action polar tag. This component is used to invoke the controller action methods, based on the specified time intervals. Based on the specified time intervals. Based on the specified time intervals, if you want to invoke any actions, then we can go with that action polar. It is like as a timer control. It's like as a timer control. If anybody is aware of the Java backend, they can understand if you say the word timer control. Then you will be having the timer controls. That is, it will invoke the specified controller method based on the frequency of interval. Based on the frequency of interval. The minimum frequency should be 5 seconds, not less than 5. Okay, the minimum frequency should be 5 seconds. Now, so once the method has been getting invoked, it is having the flexibility to perform the partial page refreshment. Partial page refreshment means what here? Whenever the specific time period is up, automatically it will be executing that method. It will collect the data to perform the operation to show the result. Upon showing the result, no need to refresh the whole user interface. Refresh only that particular part of the page. Okay. Don't refresh the whole page upon Upon refreshing the data. Don't refresh the whole page. Please refresh only that particular part of the page itself. So it is having the functionality of partial page refreshment. Partial page refreshment means what? Only that particular part of the page. Don't refresh the whole page. Please re-render, please re-render, please refresh only that particular part of the page where exactly I'm showing the result. Even though when you go to that, okay, even though when you go to your cricket score applications, then the complete page will not be getting refreshed for each and every second, for each and every 2 seconds. Only that cricket board, nothing but only that scoreboard will be getting refreshed. Only that table will be getting refreshed instead of refreshing the whole page for you. So that here, okay, so that we can improve the application performance. If you are reloading the whole page again and again and again, to load that page, it will take more time. So to avoid those problems here, to reduce the burden from that server, to reduce the server processing, we can able to process only that part of the page also by sending that part to that server. The facility is available with the help of partial page refreshment concept. Okay? Now, so now in this case, once the operation has been done, once the operation has been done, it can perform the partial page refreshment. It can perform the partial page refreshment. That is, it can refresh only a specific part of the page. It can refresh only a specific part of the page. It can refresh only a specific part of the page. That flexibility is available. Partial page refreshment facility is available as part of this component. Clear? Now, so now we can specify the properties. What are the various properties are available as part of this tab? Okay, now let's see the properties concept. The first property is ID property. We can specify the reference name. Second one, action property. That means which action method you want me to invoke for each and every specify the time period. We can specify the method name. Which method you want me to execute. Third one, interval. Third property is interval property, which is used to specify the time in terms of seconds. Okay, time in seconds. The minimum value for the interval should be 5 seconds, not less than 5. That is the limitation. Okay, minimum time is 5 seconds. Fourth one, re-render property. We can specify the component ID. Which component you would like to refresh? Okay, which component you would like to refresh? ID property. Second one, action property, which is used to indicate which action method you want me to invoke for each and every frequency of interval. And then what is the frequency of interval? We can specify the time. Time should be in terms of seconds. Okay, that too, minimum time should be 5 seconds, not less than 5. If you're giving 2 or 3 or 4, it won't accept that, it will be giving the compilation error. So minimum time frequency will be 5 seconds. And after that, you can specify depends upon your requirement also, whatever you want. It may be 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 120 seconds, 180 seconds, whatever you can specify that. Depends upon your requirement. And then re-render property. That means based on the specific time period, once the action method has been executed, once the operation has been done, then I would like to refresh the page. You want me to refresh the whole page, or you want me to refresh only one part of the page? At that time, what part of the page you want me to refresh? We can specify the component IDs inside that. Okay, re-render property already you are aware of. In multiple places we have used this re-render property. So that I want to re-render, refresh, okay, re-display only the particular component which has specified the ID value. Okay, so these are the 4 properties are available as part of this action polar tab. Okay, by using this action polar tab, we can able to refresh. Okay, we can able to refresh that part of the page and we can perform the actions, okay, based on some specific time period. Okay. Clear? So now let's see in this case here. How can we do this one? Let me show you with a practical example. Take a small use case. Design a visual force page to represent all the lead records, on the visual force page in the tabular format and refresh the page for each 5 seconds. And refresh the page for each 5 seconds. To reload the latest lead records created in the database. To reload the latest lead records created in the database. Because when coming to my lead object, I'm getting the lead records from the different sources. We are having some Web2 lead feature. Through that one, some people are going to be showing the interest also. We are having some third-party application. Through that, we are receiving some lead records. Those are directly coming into the object. So whenever my user interface is displaying the lead records, okay, after displaying that here, within the next 5 seconds, somebody has created some lead records inside my table. I want to get those lead records also. At that time, I want to refresh the screen for each and every 5 seconds, so that I can get the latest data. Suppose here, if somebody is dumping the records into the lead object from the background or by using some other alternative channels, then those lead records also have to collect, it has to represent the latest data to me by refreshing my screen for each and every 5 seconds. So in this case, how can we implement this use case? Now let's see practically this case. Okay, now tell me how to achieve this one. What we are doing generally here? We are collecting the lead record from the object representing on the user. Do you know how to collect the data, how to represent on the user interface? One additional thing what we are doing, refreshing the screen for each and every file. That's it, nothing else. Okay. Now, in this case, now let's see how can we do this functionality. Now, so let me go with that implementation part. I'm creating the visual force page. Show lead records page. Okay. I'm creating a new visual force page with the name show lead records page. With this name, there is no page has been designed as of now. Now I would like to create a new visual force page with this name. Show lead records page. I want to collect all the lead records from the object upon loading the page itself. I want to represent from there onward for each and every 5 seconds. I would like to refresh the screen to get the latest information from the background also. Okay. Now, because every time to get the latest record, I don't want to refresh my user interface by using refresh button, which is available inside the browser. I don't want to use any F5 button inside the keyboard in order to refresh the screen. I want to make the process automated for every 5 seconds through my application itself. Okay. Understood the requirement? Now. So now in this case, I'm designing the user interface with some basic attributes. Setup equals to false, sidebar false, show header equals to true, and the tab style equals to I would like to apply the position object tab style. I'm using the section header. Title equals to lead records or lead simply. Subtitle are leads. Apex farm cat. Apex page block. Title equals to lead records. I want to indicate the lead records count. Okay. Now I'm giving that idea also for this page block. Now I'm using that page block table. Inside the page block table, I want to show the information. Now before designing the page block table, we need the collection where exactly the data has been decided. Now tell me how can we get the data? By preparing a controller class. Controller, now tell me. Only records. Okay. Now I'm preparing a class here. Click on that second link. I'm preparing a normal class. That means without sharing class I'm preparing right now so that I can collect all the lead records information. Now. Okay, create a list collection to hold all the lead records. List of lead, LST leads, I'm making it as set and set. Right, next. Constructor. Yeah. Now, my constructor is my class is available. Now we are preparing the collection. List of next public. Now tell me here, inside this constructor, what we are writing the code? Getting the data from that object by making a SQL code. Okay, now. So initially, whenever a page is getting loaded, constructor will be getting file. It will execute the query, collect the data representing on the user first. From there, what is the next operation we need to do? Refresh. If you want to refresh that one, what we need to do? We need to keep on calling this one with the help of what? Action call. So now, if you want to call a particular functionality, what we need to pass? Action call. It is what it is expecting. Method. Then can you specify the constructor here? Then what we can do? Method. Right. So in this case here, don't prepare the constructor, prepare it. Okay. Now, so I'm preparing that method. The public void get lead records or load lead records. Okay, I'm preparing it. Here I'm not using the constructor because I need to keep on recall that method again and again and again based on that periodical interval. So at that time, it requires the method name, so not the constructor. Okay, so that here we are preparing a method inside. Now tell me what we can do. LST leads equals to new list of leads. Next. LST leads equals to select ID, first name of the lead person, last name, title, status, rating, industry, annual revenue, phone, fax, and then I would like to specify the city, family. Okay. No. Okay. Now, in this case, now here I am going to be using this information and collecting the data. I'm arranging this information, okay, based on the last name. Okay, based on the last name, I'm going to be arranging this lead record set. Okay, so now in this case, I'm ready with my query. Okay, I'm ready with my query. So that here my query is ready. I'm collecting the information from the object, and then I'm going to store it inside my collection. Now this collection I would like to call whenever a page is getting loaded, I would like to get the data. To get the data into the collection, first of all, we have to invoke this method. So whenever my page is getting loaded, I want to invoke this method. Okay, so then how do we invoke that? Method upon loading the page. Action property of what tab? Page tab. Inside the page tab, we are having the action property. Inside the action property, we have to specify that method. That means here, whenever my page is getting loaded, please call this method load lead records method. It will be executing this SQL query, collect the data, store inside my collection. Now I want to represent this collection of records inside my result force page. Okay. Now, how to represent this one now? Page block table. Apex page block table. Value property. The value equals to we need to specify LST. Value equals to next. Apex column. Value equals to LD dot. I don't want to show that first name and last name because I want to display like as a hyperlink. LD dot rating. Apex column. Value equals to LD dot industry. Apex column. Value equals to LD dot annual revenue. Apex column. Value equals to LD dot title. Apex column. Value equals to LD dot status. Apex column. Value equals to LD dot phone. Apex column. Value equals to LD dot fax. Apex column. Value equals to LD dot city. Here I want to show that lead record name. That means first name and last name in the form of hyperlink. Apex column by Apex column. I'm giving that header value lead name. I want to show the first name and last name in the form of hyperlink. Output link. Okay, I'm indicating the LD dot first name. I'm giving one small space and then I'm indicating that lead dot last. I want to redirect the user to that lead record upon click on this lead name. Value property. Slash lead dot start. Underscore flag. Okay, that's it. So now in this case, what happened? Whenever the page is getting loaded, okay, whenever the page is getting loaded, now the page is going to be invoking that method, which will be executing this SQL query, collect the data, storing inside the collection. Now the data will be collecting by the page block table. It will be representing the records in the form of the table and tab. So upon loading the page itself, records will be getting visible to you. Okay? The records will be getting visible on the user interface. So we are having the records information is available. So now the first name and last name will be getting visible in the form of a hyperlink. We have rating column, industry, annual revenue, title, lead status, phone number, fax number, etc. All these columns information is visible to you on the user interface upon loading the page. Now tell me how many records are available here. I want that. Okay, I'm indicating the LST. LST leaves the size. Now it is indicating how many records have been collected from my object. Now it is indicating 22. So totally 22 lead records have been collected from the database. These are representing sentence. Okay, clear? Understood the concept up to now? Now. So now, for example, this is my user interface. My user interface is representing some 22 records. Now I will go to the developer console. Through the developer console, I will create one lead record. What will happen? Will that record will be coming into this user interface now? For example, I'm going to the background process. I'm going to the background process. I would like to create a new lead record by using my execute anonymous window, for example. So now here I'm going to be creating a lead record. Leads and LD equals to new. I'm passing that lead dot testing LD dot last sample lead dot title lead dot state. Lead dot email. Lead dot I would like to indicate that information phone. Lead dot back. Lead dot rating. Lead dot industry. Lead dot annual revenue. Insert. Now, for example, so now I'm creating this lead record right. Click on execute button. Okay. Previously, now I haven't clicked on that execute button. Still, already I'm having 22 lead records. Now click on execute button. Company field. My request has been sent to the server. Lead record has been created. Now tell me, will you get that lead record here? When you will get the lead record now? To refresh. How to refresh that? Press the F5 button from your keyboard, or else you can able to refresh that particular user interface for using the refresh button inside that browser. Refresh this user interface. Now you will be getting the latest record also. Now we are having 23. That means what is a manual interaction we have to do. It's a manual interaction we have to do in order to get the latest information which has been created in the background process of your database. Behind the screen, okay, some other people are going to be managing the data. They may be updating, they may be deleting some records, they may be inserting some new records. At that time, I need to reflect those changes from the database to the user interface. So at that time here, we can't refresh the user interface for every time by using the F5 button or by using the refresh button. I want to make this user interface to be get refreshed automatically for each and every few fraction of seconds. So for that one, I would like to use the action polar. Okay, I would like to use action polar. With the help of that action polar, I would like to refresh this user interface for each and every few fraction of seconds. So how to do that? Now let's see practically. Okay, now it's a simple thing. Just we have to add one small tag action polar. That's it. Okay, by specifying the required property values. So now here in this list. So now let me indicate this information. So now the record is available. Let me arrange the records in the based on the created date column here, so that we can identify very easily. So we are able to get those all the records from it. Okay. So now based on the created date descending format, that means recently created records having making it visible first. Okay. The recently created records I want to make it visible first. For the testing purpose, it will be easy for me. That's what I'm arranging the records in the descending format. Okay. So now this is my user interface. Now it is representing all the 23 records to me by arranging the records based on the created date in the descending format. That means recently created records should be get visible first inside my user interface. Okay. Now to make this user interface actually get refreshed for each and every specific time period, okay, I would like to use action collar. How to use that action collar? Now let's see practically. Now tell me what are the properties are there inside this action collar? ID property, okay. Action, okay. Interval, okay. Reader. Okay, now tell me. So now what is that action you want me to execute now? What is that action you want me to perform now through action collar? Load delete task. Okay, now second one. What is the interval? Second. Okay, fine. Next. What is the re-render? Which component you want to refresh that? That's it. Okay, only these three properties. Okay, now just to go to your farm tab, place that action polar tab here. Apex, action polar. These are the 5 action controls are available. Okay, action support, polar, function, status, releasing. 5 controls are now. So I would like to use that action polar now. So tell me the properties here. Action property. What is that method you want me to call for each and every specific time? Load lead records. Okay. Next. Interval. Start. Can I specify 2? No. When you try to save this one, it is indicating the interval 2 as specified for this component is less than minimum interval value allowed as 5. Minimum should be 5. Next. Re-render. That means don't refresh the whole page. Please refresh only this page block. But that one I'm using that page. Okay. Clear? Now save this record. From there onwards, for each and every 5 fraction of seconds, it will be collecting the data. Now, for example, let me go back to the data. I'm creating a record. I'm passing this value. I'm inserting this lead records right now. I'm inserting how many records now? Okay. As of now, how many records are there? 23. Now let's click on execute button. Request has been sent. To debug the records are. Have you refreshed this user interface manually? No. For example, I'm passing the value. Okay, 11 to 14. How many? 4 records. Now click on execute. Now, for each and every 5 fraction of seconds, records will be getting refreshed automatically. 32 records. That means what? No need to refresh the user interface. Okay, automatically it will be refreshing the user interface for each and every 3 fraction of seconds. Suppose if you want to show that time frame also. Now let me show you that time also inside. I want to indicate that when it has been refreshed, I would like to indicate that time. For that one, I'm defining a variable here. Public string. Now I would like to indicate that refresh date time. I want to indicate. In this variable, I would like to specify that, okay, the current date and time. That means here, date and time of that particular, the execute is workable method. Now I would like to get this information. refresh time value equals to I would like to get that information string dot value of. That means I would like to convert that datetime value to the form of a string. So that I'm using system dot datetime dot now. I want to get that current time, okay? Current time, that datetime value I'm going to be representing on my Visual First page. How we're converting them into that string. That means here I'm converting this value, that even datetime value to the string format. That string value I want to represent onto my Visual First page. Here I would like to represent over here. So now here along with that lead records count, okay, I want to indicate that. I'm indicating. So what is that variable name? Refresh time. I'm indicating this. So let's see that value. For each and every few fraction of seconds, now the value will be getting changing. Now we are having 22 until that 55 that is. And then you will be having that. The key point will be changing the value for each and every fraction of seconds. Okay, the value will be getting changing inside the time. So that we can able to identify when we have executed that. You can show that complete date and time value inside that. When it has been refreshed previously, we can able to cross-check that information also. For example, in the background here, I'm going to be executing some more thing. I'm creating 4 more records again. Click on execute, request has been sent to the server. It will collect those records. Automatically, it is refreshing for each and every 5 fraction of seconds. Latest records will be getting collected to be refreshing the data. We can able to specify when it has been refreshed over. So the whole information we can able to track inside this. Okay. So this is how we can able to refresh your user interface based on some specific period of interval with the help of action polar. Okay. Clear? Understood the concept now? That is US time zone. Okay, because for my organization, US time zone is it. That's what it will be getting that US date and time. Okay. Depends upon your organization's currently local. Like when you go to your organization, you will be having your organization local is available to you. Because of your organization local, no. So not default time zone. Okay. Because of this time zone, it is going to be indicating that US time zone values to you. The date and time will be US time. Understood the concept here? How to refresh the page for each and every fraction of seconds. Ready? By tomorrow morning, we'll get that 1.5. That's what's here. I haven't uploaded that. I will do that one today. Okay, I will do that one. New drive will be creating by today. Okay, by today evening, I will create a new Google Drive so that I can able to place your latest videos also inside. Okay. Because I'm planning to buy some space from Google, okay, so that we can able to maintain only one complete Gmail account to upload all the videos. Because right now, whatever the 15 GB space is there, this is not sufficient for one batch actually. Because in admin we are having almost some 50 to 60 videos in development, 60 videos are available. Okay, so that 15 GB space is not sufficient to upload all these videos and documentation. So I'm planning to buy some space from Google so that I would like to buy some 100 GB of space so that I can able to upload all the batch videos in a CVs without having that multiple Gmail accounts separate. Okay. So for that one here, I'm making that thing pending here. Or else I will do that one by today itself. Okay, it is for your batch. I will be completing this task by today. Done. Next one. Do you want any small break for 5 minutes? Not required. Continue. Session will go up to 1:30. Okay. If you want a small break of 5 minutes, then okay, let's have a small break for 5 minutes.
This conference will now be recorded.
So now we see quickly control. How can we add the quickest control on the user interface? What are the various attacks are available to add the quickest controls, to add the checkboxes, to add the radio buttons on the user interface? And how can we add the elements into the quickest control? How to add the elements to the quickest control through Visual Tools, through Apex programming. In Apex programming, again tools are. How to add those elements to the quickest control through programming by hard coding the values. Second one, dynamic SSL. Dynamically, I wanted to get the elements from the database. How to represent those values inside of the first page in quickest controls. Okay, we'll see practically how to add multi-select quickest controls to represent on the user interface. We'll see practically. Okay, now. Whenever if you want to add a quickest control on the user interface, we have to use a tag called select list tag. Okay. Select list tag. That means list of elements are populating inside this control from this one select name. It may be one, it may be multiple. By using this select list tab, we can able to prepare a page control. Now, in this case, we can raise the question, sometimes I want multi-select picklist control. For that one also same tab, but just a property difference. There is a property, based on the property value, we can indicate whether it is a normal picklist, multi-select picklist. Okay? Now. So now in this case, whenever if we want to prepare a picklist control on the Visual Force page, we have to use a tag called as select list tag. Now this tag is only to prepare the control, that's it. No need to add the element. That means we are not adding the elements here. Okay. To add the elements, we are having some different tags are available. Okay. In order to represent the picklist control on the user interface, we have to use a tag called as select list tag. By using the select list tag, we can able to represent a normal picklist or a multi-selected picklist control on your user force page. Okay. So in this case, what are the various of properties are available for this select list control? We can now let's see practically in this case. Okay. Now let's make a note of this control. This tag is used to add the picklist control or a multi-select picklist control on the Visual Force page. Whenever I'm adding the picklist control on the Visual Force page using the select list tag, it will be a simply empty tag. No label, no elements, no default values, nothing. Simply the picklist control appearance will be getting visibility, that's it. It won't populate any elements, even none also. Okay, even none also. It won't provide any elements, it won't provide any label also for the control. Okay, so in this case, just to represent the picklist control visual appearance on the user interface, we are using this select list tag. Now, for example, assume that here I'm using that select list tag, for example. So don't write this code, just for your information, I'm indicating select list tag. Whenever I'm using that select list tag, I'm adding simply the select list tag over on my user force page. So this is the starting tag and this is the ending tag. Okay, starting tag and ending tag. Whenever I'm adding the select list tag on my Visual Force page, now it is going to be representing a picklist control on the user interface. The picklist control will be getting added on my Visual Force. Simply, it is adding the picklist control. No label, okay, no elements, no default value like as none also. Simply, picklist will be getting visible. Then for this picklist control, okay, then what kind of elements you would like to supply? What elements you would like to populate? And what type of picklist control it is? Is it a normal or multi-select? What is the label you want to make it visible? Okay, now let's see practically. If it is a multi-select picklist control, then how many elements you want to display at a time? Like whenever I'm having a multi-select picklist control, it is providing like as the text area thing. So in this one, I'm having 100 elements are populating inside my control. From that one, how many elements you want to display at a time? Like as 4 elements, 5 elements, 6 elements, 10 elements. How many you want to show at a time? Remaining thing the user can select by using that star bar. So in this case, how can we represent these properties? For that one, as part of the select list tag, we are having the various properties are available. So what are the properties are available? Now let's see practically in this case. Okay? Now. So let's go with that properties. First property, you know, as usual, ID property. Okay? ID property, which is used to allocate the unique reference name through which we can identify the control uniquely on the page. In order to identify the control of the page uniquely, we are giving a reference name that is called as ID property. Next. Render. That means to indicate whether this picklist control will be visible on the user interface or not. Rendering means what? Displaying. Render, display or not. We can display. If you want to hide that, we can specify the rendered property value equals to false. Next. Next property, label. Label is used to specify the label information for that control. Like for example, for my picklist control, I want to give some label. Like as for example, select the country. Okay, select the country. I want to store some label. To store this label, we have to use a property called as label property. The label property is used to indicate the label for the picklist control. Okay. Label for the picklist control. Next one. Upon preparing the thickness control, what type of thickness you want? Is it normal or multi-select? For that one, we have a property called as multi-select. Multi-select equals to true. That means what? Multi-select thickness control. False in the sense normal thickness. Okay, normal thickness. It depends upon your requirement. If it is having that value true, it will be indicating the multi-thread picklist control. If you are having the value false, it will be a normal picklist. Suppose, for example, I am using a multi-threaded picklist control. Then how many elements you can able to show at a time? Only one or multiple? Multiple. If it is a normal picklist, only one. Okay, only one element will be getting visible. So to indicate how many number of elements you want to make it visible by default. For that one, we have to use the property called as size. Size property is used to indicate an integer value which indicates how many number of elements to be get visible. Suppose, for example, now tell me if it is a normal picklist control, what is the size value then? 1. Okay, if it is a multi-select, you can specify either 4, 5, 10, whatever, depends upon your requirement. Okay, next. Sixth property, value. Okay, value property. For example, here inside my picklist control, I'm having some set of elements. Okay, I'm having some set of elements are available here inside my picklist control. Assume that here I'm having some elements. So assume that these are the various elements are available inside my picklist control. Okay. So these are the various elements are available inside my picklist. In my picklist control, I'm populating these elements. Okay. I'm populating these elements inside this. Okay. Now. So now here in this case, you can now get in this. From this one, any one of the elements the user can select. Okay. So these are the various elements I'm populating inside my picklist control. From this one, the user can select any one of these elements. Okay. User can select any one of these elements. Now in this case, for example, whenever I'm selecting this country as of India, okay, whenever I'm selecting this country as India, so at that time, whatever account records are available, whose country is equals to India, I want to collect all those records. Then how to pass this value India from my Visual Force page to my Apex? How can we collect the currently selected value of this picklist control? For example, here I'm selecting the country as some India. Okay, India. So now what are the value we have selected currently? To get this currently selected value of this picklist control, we have to use the property called as value property. That means now whatever the currently selected value is available, this value should be stored in which variable? Like a normal text box. Okay, like as normal text box control is a property called as value property, which is indicating whatever the value we have entered inside the text box, this value should get resides where, in which variable this value has to get stored. We need to indicate that. So for that reason, we are using that value property, the value property. Now in this case, I'm using the pick list control. Upon using this pick list control also, we have to indicate what are the correctly selected value in the pick list control, where you want me to store this value, which variable you want me to store this value. So in this case, we have to use a property called as value property. Okay, now here, let me explain one more small point in this case. Okay, let me explain on the board so that we can understand. Now, so when you go to the picklist control internally supporting map collection. Okay, picklist control internally supporting map collection format. Okay, what it will do? Now let me explain. For example, assume that I'm having the picklist control. There is a field called as rating. Rating, which is a pick list control. What values are there inside this rating field? Hot. Okay, hot, warm, and cold. You are having this. First value is none, and then we have the value hot, warm. These are the four elements are available inside the pick list control. Okay, we have none, hot, warm, and cold. So in this case, whenever I'm going to be adding any element inside the pick list control is internally supporting map collection format by default. You know the concept of map collection. So upon storing some element inside the map collection, every element contains how many values? No. What are those? That means key and value. Because map is purely a key and the value based collection. You will be having the key and the value. Okay, now in this case, what are the elements you are going to be selecting here? These are nothing but the keys. Okay, these are nothing but keys. Internally, when coming to the picklist control, it is maintaining a table. Internally, picklist control is maintaining a collection. It is maintaining a table. So this is the key and this is the value. What are the various keys are available? We are having the and then we have now what are the values for this one? In this case, for this one what? None. That means empty, nothing will be there inside. For this one. For this one. Wow. For this one. Okay, for this one. So now here in this case, what happened? Whenever I'm going to be selecting any of this particular element inside the picklist control, for this particular element, whatever the respective key is available, that means value is available, this value will be getting returned to you with the help of value. Okay, it won't return this value. It won't return this value. It will return the value of this particular control. To get this value, that means whatever the currently selected element is there, regarding that element, whatever the values available, respective value, to get that value, we are going to be using the property called as value. Now, in this case, that's what here when you go to the picklist control. Let me show you any picklist control to you here. Take any of the picklist control, whatever we have inside your any object. When you go to that accounts also. Take any of the picklist control like as some input. When you come down, you will be having the key and the value plates are available. So we are having this key and the value plates. So in this case, we are having agriculture. So for this one, the actual value is agriculture. Whenever these are nothing but the keys. So now these are going to be selecting inside the picklist control. These are the things are getting visible. These are the elements are getting visible inside your picklist control. Whenever I'm selecting this value, the corresponding API will pass it to the database. This is the entire implementation of picklist control. Whatever the value we have selected, that means key. So now whatever the key we have selected, the corresponding value will be passing to the database. This value will be storing inside your database column. In your industry column, the corresponding value will be storing inside the database. Now in this case, if I'm selecting the value as the key like as some none, the corresponding value. What is the value here? None. None, that means what? Empty. That's what here, when you open that record, okay, take any of the record, whatever we have inside your account object. Now I'm opening any of the record. Now I'm making this rating value as none. Whenever I'm selecting the value as none, what the value will returns? Now that means empty. So once you click on that save button, it is indicating the value as what? Empty. It is not showing none, it is showing the value empty. Why? What this none, the corresponding value is empty. So that it is showing that value empty. That means null value. So that when coming to the fitness control, internally is purely supporting the map collection. Upon selecting any one of the element inside fitness control, that element's corresponding value will be collected. That value will be storing inside a property called as value property. Now in this case, where you want me to pass this value to a database? In which variable you want me to store? But that one specify the variable. Okay. We have to give that variable name in which variable this value has to be reside. So that we are giving that value property. Value property equals to, you can specify a variable name. Like as for example, I'm going to specify selected value. Any one of the variable name. Inside your class, you have to define this variable with the get and set properties. We have to bind this variable with your fitness control. Okay? Clear? Now. So now getting this. So in this case, for example, let me explain one more scenario. Assume that I'm having some countries. I'm having that some country names are available. I'm having a field called as some country. Okay, I'm having the field called as country. I'm giving like some values. India. For this one, I'm giving the value as some IND. Okay. Now this is the key, this is the value. That means what? Whenever the user is accessing this fitness field, please display this country name. Upon selecting the India, pass this IND value to the backend to the data. Okay. Now I'm indicating like some United States. Then I'm passing US. And then I'm passing the element Australia. Okay, these are the three elements are adding over. For this one, it will be having the value. For the non, what is the value? The variable empty. For India, what is the value? And then from United States, US, and from Australia. Okay, so in this case here, whenever I am selecting any one of these elements, for example, I am selecting the element India, then automatically the corresponding value, this value will be passing to that value property. Now this value we can able to store inside your variable. From there, based on this value, we can do the required operations. We can fetch the data. We can populate inside your application also. Okay, clear? Now in this case, whenever we are going to storing the information, we have to specify. Upon adding some element to the fitness control, we have to specify the key and the value. This key is called as item label. This is called as item label. This is called as item value. This is called as item value. We have item label, item value. Item label will be getting visible to the user interface. Item values are going to be sitting behind the screen, which will be passing to the backend to the database by default. Okay, these are the two properties will be available. Okay, these properties are available in different tabs we see, because upon adding the elements we are using some different tabs. To add the elements to the fitness control, we need to use a separate tag. Like you have to use another tag, effects, select the option. Okay, we have to use one more tag, select option. This select option tag is used to add only one option to a fitness control. If you want to add multiple elements to a fitness control at a time, we have to use another tag, effects, select options. Okay. Select the options tab. Okay. So in this case, depends upon the number of elements you are going to add to fit this control. We have to decide this particular tag. We'll see how to use this tag, both we'll see practically, and here we'll see the multiple scenarios. How can we add the element to the fitness control one by one? Through user interface. I don't want to write any business logic over there. Through user interface, okay, I would like to add the elements. Okay, and then after that here, how can we add the elements through Apex programming? Upon adding the element to the Apex programming, we have two scenarios again. One is static values, second one dynamic values. How to add static values, how to add dynamic values, both we'll see practically as part of this implementation. Okay, now. So now let's see how can we add the elements of the fitness control. So in this case, every fitness control will be having the few properties available here. You will be having the key and then you will be having the value. Whenever I'm going to selecting a particular key, based on that key, the currently selected key, so value will be getting returned to you. That value will be stored inside a property called as value property. The value property will be collecting the currently selected elements of value. That value I want to store inside a variable. So to indicate that variable name, we are using that value property here. Okay. Understood the concept now? So let's make a note of this one. Variable name. Like as a major field format. Okay. Value property is used to indicate now in which variable, okay, that value has to be get stored. The currently selected pick list controls value should be get stored in which variable to indicate that we are using that value property. Okay, clear? Now, for example, I'm indicating Apex select a list control. Label equals to select the rating. I'm indicating multi-select equals to false. Size equals to 1. Okay, size equals to 1. These are the controls. We have the starting tag and then we have the ending tag. Clear about these properties? I'm not giving the description of the properties here. Just I'm giving that information and then I'm going to be giving the syntax. In your documentation, you will be having. Okay. Of course, nobody is referring the document. Okay, I know that. Next. The next tag. Now, select option tag. What is the select option tag? To add one element to the pick list control. In order to add an element to the pick list control, we are using that select option tag. By using this select option tag, we can able to add only one element, not multiple. Okay, not multiple. To add one more element, one more tag. To add one more element, one more. Like that, depends upon the number of elements you would like to add. Those many number of select option tags you have to use. So in this case, where we can write this tag? Upon using the select option tag should be always a child component to select a list. That means in between that starting and ending of that select list tag only we have to use. Why? Because select option tag is used to add some element to where to the pick list control. That means in between that pick list control only we have to use that tag. Outside we can't use. Okay. So that your select option tag should be always a child component to select a list. Okay, I would like to populate that control. In that one, I'm adding some elements. To add that elements, we are using that select option tag. Okay, which will be used to add only one element inside this. Even though if you want to add the value none, we have to use one select option tag mandatory. Okay, now. So now let's see in this case. Make a note of this one. This tag is used to add the elements to the pick list control. This tag is used to add the elements to the pick list control. To add the multiple elements, we need to use multiple select option tags. To add the multiple elements, we need to use multiple select option tags. Now, this should be a child component to the select option tag. This should be a child component to the select option tag. This should be a child component to the select option tag. Oh, sorry, select list tag. Okay, now properties. First one, ID property. We can specify the reference name. Second one, rendered to indicate whether this element to be get visible inside your element of control or not. Third one, item label property to specify the display label in the pick list control. Display label means what? The item label. Okay, the element label. Okay, we can represent. Fourth one, item value. It contains the value of the selected element in the pick list. Inside the pick list control, whatever the element that was selected, that element's value will be residing inside your the item value. Value of the element. For example, I'm indicating this pick list control. Apex select option. Item label equals to yeah. I'm giving the value. You can give any value inside that. Depends upon your requirement. Okay. The rating code has nothing but rating value, nothing but key and then value. Both you can able to specify. Suppose when you go to some most of the applications, upon creating the registration, you will be having a field called as gender. There is a picklist field is available which is having male, female. It will be showing the value male, female. Whenever I'm selecting that male, in the database, it will store the character as young. That means the database will be having the column only one character, either M or F. Upon selecting female, it will be storing the value F. So that to indicate those kind of things. That means here we can display the label different and the actual value will be different in the database. Done? So now let's see how can we prepare a picklist control on the user interface. Now let's see, okay, and how can we add the elements also. I will show you practically now. So let me go with that, a small Visual Force page. Now, so now let me design a small Visual Force page to represent the picklist controls on our Visual Force page. I'm using the default properties. So I'm preparing a page block. In this page block, I'm going to be representing the title as picklist control as the page block title. Inside this page block, I would like to represent the picklist control. I'm preparing a page block section. I'm giving the title as picklist control. Number of columns equals to 1. And then I would like to specify the collapsible option. Collapsible equals to 2. Okay. I'm adding one page black section with the name pick list control. Inside this, I would like to add the pick list control. Now tell me how can we add the pick list control? Apex, select list. Okay. If you are placing simply the select list tab, observe this one. It is placing a small pick list control tool. Nothing will be there inside that. There's no label, there's no elements, even none also. Simply it is going to be indicating a small pick list control appearance is available. In order to do some makeup for this one, by adding some labels, by adding some default value, by adding some elements, we have to write some piece of code. Okay. So for this tab, I'm indicating select list tab. I'm indicating the properties. Now tell me what are the properties are available. Label property. Label I'm indicating like as enter, like as select. Okay. Select the rating. Okay, select the rating. Whenever I'm pressing the label will be getting added for my pick list control. Okay. Label has been getting placed. Now, what type of control you want now? Is it a normal or multi-select? Normal I want to. Okay. Rating will be how many we can select? Only one, right? Now, normal control. Then what is the property? Multi-select equals to what? 1. Okay. Now, size equals to 1. Okay. So we don't have any elements inside my control right now. This is the normal pick list control. Okay, where I would like to give the chance to the user to select only one element, not multiple. Okay, so I'm indicating that multi-select property equals to false. That means it is not in a multi-select pick list control, it is a normal. So now I'm indicating that size also 1. So now I'm adding some elements here. How to add the elements to this one? Select option. Okay, select option tab. Now, what is the property? Item label. I'm indicating like as some none. Item value. I'm indicating the item value as empty. Whenever I'm saving this element, now it is indicating that none element has been getting added over here, but backend value will be empty. Okay. Like the similar, I want to add the element. Select option. Item label. Item label equals to I'm indicating the value half. Item value equals to I'm indicating the value set. Okay. So now here I'm adding the 4 elements totally. One is none, second one is hard, third one is warm, fourth one is cold. These are the 4 elements I have added right now. So whatever the elements we have added, all those elements will be getting visible to you inside the pick list control. The 2 here only one element we can select, not multiple, because we are indicating the size as only 1. Okay, clear? Now, second one. I want to prepare a multi-select pick list control. There, I want to give the chance to the user to select multiple. Okay. Then, how can we prepare that multi-select pick list control? Let me show you practically. Let me take one more page black section. Here, I'm indicating that this is a multi-select pick list control. Okay. Now, what is the value in this case here? Multi-select equals to row. Size equals to I'm indicating like as 2. 2 elements the user can see at a time. Let's say this one. Now, when you come to this one, it will be indicating that multi-select pick list control to you. Whatever the elements are available, all the elements will be getting visible to you, but we can able to see only 2 elements at a time. If you want to hold the multiple elements, hold the control key, we can able to select the multiple elements also. Okay. Now, so now with these elements, I want to prepare. Okay, with these elements, I want to prepare some checkbox controls. Okay, how can we implement the checkbox controls? Now, let me show you practically. I'm adding one more page black section. I'm indicating the checkbox controls. Now, I'm indicating that. Instead of using this select list, we have to use the select checkboxes. Okay, select checkboxes. select the checkboxes. Here we are having that multi-set property is not available for this one. Size also we can mention. So in this case, it is preparing the checkbox elements. What are the elements that we have with this one checkbox will be getting visibility. For example, if you want to give that border, you will be having that option is available. There is a property show border or border visible. Border visible equals to true. I want to show the border for this control. So that border will be getting visible for this control. We can able to select that the multiple elements also from this one. Depends upon your requirement. Next one, I want to place that radio button controls. Instead of using this input checkboxes, we have to use input radio. Okay, input radio. So the select radio. Select the radio control. So now in this case, it is preparing the radio button controls where the user can select only one. Depends upon the control which have used the respective visual appearance is visible. Here we are having the chance to select the multiple one, but here we can able to select only one element at a time, not multiple here. Okay. So depends upon your requirement, whatever the control you want, we can able to prepare that. If you want to prepare the checkboxes, we can use input checkboxes. If you want to prepare the radio buttons, you can use that. Okay, select the radio option. Okay, select checkboxes and then select the radio. Okay, clear? Clear up to this one? How to add that input controls on the user interface? Generally, radio button option is not available in the standard navigation in Salesforce. We are having so many data types are available, like checkbox data type, text data type, text area, pick list, URL, so many things are there, but there is no concept of radio buttons. Why? Because, for example, observe this one. If the number of radio button options are more, if the number of radio button options are more, okay. So now in this case, it will be occupying more space. It is occupying more space. To avoid that much of space, we are going to be using the pick list control. Okay, instead of displaying all this one by one, because here also the user can select only one. And the same thing is possible through the pick list control. That too, pick list control is occupying very less space. It is occupying more space. So that to save the space on the browser, Salesforce people has completely removed that radio button controls on the standard navigation. So, but if you want, you can display the radio buttons with the help of Visual Pro using select the radio tab. Okay, clear? Okay, now. So now, as of now, we have discussed how to prepare the controls, okay, on the user interface, and then how can we, okay, add some elements inside the controls also, okay. So because here we have added the elements by using the user interface itself, okay, the user interface itself we have incorporated these elements over here. Then how to add these elements, okay, dynamically at runtime through programming, we'll see practically in tomorrow's session, okay. And then one more thing.